Well, it's always great to be able to write incredible women, to write truthful stories about women. And it's funny because on the shows that you've mentioned, working with Annie Potts and Lorraine Toussaint on Any Day Now, working on Saving Grace with Holly Hunter, both of those shows were created by a woman named Nancy Miller, who, again, is somebody who became an amazing mentor to me as well, hired me on a bunch of her shows, an incredible writer, and an incredible career, a really what many people in the industry at the time would have considered an understated career, but to me was like, this is what you strive for. Nancy created and got on air 4 of her own shows, which is incredible. Nancy hired me to write on Any Day Now, which, as I mentioned, was a show about 2 women who'd grown up during the civil rights, a black woman and a white woman, and their friendship throughout the years. And a lot of it was based on Nancy herself, her experiences growing up as a white woman in Oklahoma, her experiences learning about the civil rights movement and interacting with African Americans, her questions as a white woman, and not having the same experiences as a black woman, and she put that in her shows. And the wonderful thing that Nancy did that has not been duplicated until my current situation, but Nancy had a writer's room that was full of black women. She was a white woman who hired black women, and it was incredible to be in that situation, to be in a situation where she encouraged, in order to get truthful, honest stories, she encouraged us with love, she would always say, to argue, to go at it with each other, to be honest, to hold nothing back and tell the truth about what we were really feeling. So our writers' rooms were full of arguments and honest discussions about race and gender and class. And it was a really incredible experience that allowed us to put those things on the page and to get it on screen. And I think a lot of it, it's all due to someone having the guts and balls to be like, we want to tell honest stories. And it's really wonderful to be able to tell those stories about women, to feel like, okay, I can be honest about this. And it's funny, on that show, on Any Day Now, the 2 episodes that I wrote in my first year, I wanted to write about colorism in the Black community and the kind of tensions and animosities that exist between light-skinned Black women and dark-skinned Black women, the kind of racism that was born out of slavery, born out of the idea of the lighter you are, the closer to white you are, the better you are, and how that kind of colorism has infected the Black community. And Nancy allowed me to write that story, and we told that story, and we told stories about Black women's hair that I'd never seen on television before. So that was a really wonderful experience, to be able to just go into your own mind and think, okay, what's a story that I want to tell, that I know I can tell, that I haven't seen before on television? And the second story that I did that year was about women who don't want children. I'm a woman who's never wanted to have children. It just never kicked in for me. And in the 90s, and late 90s, early 2000s, that was a controversial idea. I felt like I grew up and spent most of my life defending a choice to not have children, explaining why that didn't make me selfish. And so we did a story that was about Lorraine Toussaint's character, having to defend a woman in like a human resources case where she felt like she was being discriminated against because she didn't want to have children. And it was just wonderful to find these stories about women that you're not seeing everywhere and be able to tell them. And that has been incredible. And that carried over into Saving Grace, which was another show that Nancy created about a cop in Oklahoma, played by Holly Hunter, who was this kind of fierce, dynamic, sexually active older woman who had lost her faith in God, And she had an angel on her shoulder. So it was about religion and losing your faith and what it means to, be a woman who's unapologetic about who she is. And it was incredible to be able to write those stories. Incredible.